Okay, I made an interval video recently where I talked through getting into interval running, what are the benefits of it, why you should do it, and how it's going to help you along your journey. Now, I had quite a few questions, both direct messages and comments below the video in terms of like, how do I implement it, when do I implement it, how do I break it up, how fast should I be running, all those types of questions. And I've given the overview, but now I want to go a little bit deeper into it. And it's really funny because last night, a friend of mine here, she's called Smiley Peachy. So she watches these videos. Hey, Smiley. I went over to her. She's got a vegan restaurant in Chiang Mai. If you're ever in Chiang Mai, go to her restaurant, Imjan Vegan. It's fantastic. It's super cheap. You get great food. Tastes amazing. Go to it. It's absolutely incredible. And I went over to her last night, and she was washing dishes. It was the end of the day. And she's always super positive, always super positive. So I went over and just said, hey, how are you doing? She turned to me. I saw that she was absolutely exhausted after the day's work and after the amount of work she's doing recently. She turned to me, even in that state, and she said, I am amazing. And she always greets me with something funny and enthusiastic and super positive, all the time, super positive. But a couple of weeks ago, she texted me, and this gets to the interval and how I would break things down. So please, stay interested. She asked me, there's a local mountain, 11 kilometers, and her goal is to run up that mountain at 6%, run up 11 kilometers in 60 minutes. Now that's difficult. Yeah, it's a challenge that she should set herself, but how should she go about it? And that was the question she asked me. It's exactly the same whether you're training for 10K, a marathon, 11K at 6% up Doi Satep here. It's exactly the same philosophy when it comes to the interval training. Now the long run is something else. Long running, you just got to get ready to run for the amount of time that it's going to take. And if this is a 1 hour time trial, then that long run I'd be taking to 1 hour 15, 1 hour 30, 1 hour 45, 2 hours. You don't really need to do much more than that. But I keep it specific so that it's up 6, 7, 8%. Here's how I break down the intervals. Now we're in a period at the moment where there's a little bit of pollution in the air. You've got to go indoors for a lot of the time, but that's fine for her because she gets to train on a treadmill. It's very easy to put that on an incline. But the way I'd break down the intervals, and I try to remember to put a timestamp in the video here so that I'm saying that this kind of the good information starts from 2:45. So if you're going to break down those intervals so that you get to a point where running up Doi Satep is possible for you in 1 hour, so 60 minutes, this is what I would do. I'd go to the mountain or emulate the mountain on a treadmill. And the way I would do that is start from my strength. So if she's good at running far at the moment, she's very good in the long runs, good in the easy runs, she's not got much speed, then I would start longer intervals. So what I mean by that is your intervals are going to be between 1 minute, this is for distance running, between 1 minute or something like 250 meters, or up to 10 minutes. So between 1 and 10 minutes. We're not going to change from that. Now you might do some fartlek running in the future or some dedicated threshold sessions where a 20, 30 minute, 1 hour, that's a different type of session. We're talking about breaking things down between 1 minute and 10 minutes. Those are your intervals. So 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, and 10 minute are my go-to, yeah? So those 5 different lengths of intervals, and I'll break that up so the total volume starts at about 20 minutes and goes up to 50 minutes, and sometimes if I'm training for a long ultra, like if I'm training for 50 kilometers uphill, it'll go to 7 times 10 minutes. But, so if she's starting from, she's got some endurance, but she's struggling on the speed, the way you want to insert that speed work is by coming at that from longer intervals. So what I would do is I'd start with kilometer or 5 minute intervals. And what I'd do is get used to running up that hill or running up 6.5% on the treadmill, 7% on the treadmill, get used to running 6 minutes per kilometer, or however much that is. It's a little bit less, isn't it? It's about 5:40 per kilometer that she needs to run the 11 kilometers for to run Doi Satep in 1 hour. So I get used to running at 6 minutes per kilometer. Let's say 6 minutes per kilometer for the sake of this video. I get used to that. So I would try to run 5 minute intervals or 6 minute intervals a kilometer at 6.5, 7%. I get used to that on the treadmill, or I get used to it. Ideally, you want to be on the course. Yeah. So if you're training for a marathon, that's really easy to emulate because everybody's got access to tarmac, and that's where your that's where your race is probably going to be. So to emulate the conditions that you're trying to go for the target. So if you're running a city marathon, use the tarmac and do your intervals on the tarmac, not on the running track, which is a lot of clubs will do a Tuesday and Thursday track session, and you'll think, that's where I get my speed, that's where I'll go and do my intervals. No, it's wrong. You're not going to be running in 400-meter circles when you're doing a marathon. Do your speed intervals on the tarmac. For her, do the intervals on Deutsche Tep. And so you get used to that. And then what you're doing along those weeks, so say your first session is, let's say 6 times 5 minutes. It's a great first start. And then 60 seconds in between where you just stood and you're trying to lower your heart rate from what it got to in the last rep all the way down as much as you possibly can. And you're teaching your body to recover as quickly as possible so that when you stop or when you slow down in a race, you're teaching your body to be able to lower the heart rate, get your breathing under control. That's just as important as the hard work that you're doing during the rep, being able to bring your heart rate down really, really quickly. That's going to make you get to a point where you're in a race, you go into the red, or you've gone completely off track, and it's going to be able to bring you to a point where if you jog for a minute, you're able to bring your heart rate right down. You're training your body to recover very quickly, and that's a big element of fitness, and a great indicator of fitness. So let's say 6 times 5 minutes up Deutsche Tep, and she's probably getting about the halfway point in that but what she's doing at the same time, she's learning the course. So in those 6 times 5 minutes with 1 minute rest, we're trying to stay in control of that. So she's not running super fast, she's not sprinting, she's in control of the 5 minutes. She's probably running at about the pace that she's trying to do for the whole course, so let's say 6 minutes per kilometer, and she's just getting used to. So within that interval, that 5 minute interval, she's running 5-6 or about sort of 82-85% of the total thing. I think maybe more. That my maths is wrong, but you get it. She's running at that pace, so she's getting used to running at the pace. She's getting used to running on the course, and everything starts to make sense. And she's breaking it up. And then as she starts to increase in the speed, and as the speed gets used to, bring the intervals down. So bring it down to 3 minutes. And so you're not running at super fast, like 1 minute pace, but you're running at 3 minute pace. So you can run a bit faster than what you were when you were running 5 minute intervals naturally. So you can run further in that 3 minutes. So in that 3 minutes, she really wants to be running more than 500 meters. She wants to be getting used to running a little bit faster in these intervals than the actual time trial that she's going to do eventually to run 1 hour up Deutsche Tep. And then she'll bring it down again and do 2 minute intervals. And then what I would do is change it up and I'd go to 10 minute intervals. Don't not do the 5 minute intervals again, but go to 10 minute intervals so that you can be in control at the pace that you want to run the entire hour for. You can be in control at that pace or faster so that you're making, along these 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, and 10 minute intervals, you're making race pace feel super easy, super comfortable. Again, you can put this into a marathon so that you're essentially getting to the halfway mark, to the 30K mark, ideally to the 35K mark, and it feels comfortable because you're so used to running the long run, you've built your endurance, you're so used to running faster than this, that up to the 35K mark in a marathon feels like you're in second gear, feels super manageable. It's really important. And so over the weeks, and if you're training 1 hour up Deutsche Tep, 6.5%, 1 hour, 11 kilometers, if you're training for that, it depends on your start point, but you want to get fit, you want to get used to hill runs, and then you want to go for it. So you want to be in peak performance and peak condition. That's going to take you 10 dedicated training weeks once you've got fit. And it's the specific fitness on this course for uphill running. What I told her last night is what you want to do is if you're going to be running, like it's not kind of, I'm not saying it's 6.5% exactly all the way up. Obviously it's a mountain. So sometimes you're running 10%, sometimes you're running 12%, sometimes you're running 3%. There's actually a little bit of a downhill at one point. So what you want to be doing is you want to be training when you're in the treadmill because it's polluted at the moment. When you're going in the treadmill, get used to running 8%, get used to running 10%. And if you can hold 6 minutes per kilometer for 8 and 10%, imagine how much faster you're going to be when you start to reduce that to the course and you're running 4%, 6%, 6.5%, 8%. It's going to be so much easier for you. So yeah, make everything specific. Use 1 minute to completely rest and recover in between each interval, whether you're running 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, or 10 minute intervals. Use 1 minute in between to completely lower the heart rate. Focus in that minute on don't talk to anybody. Focus on bringing the heart rate down and getting your breathing under control, and then you can go again. Focus on the entire control of the total session. So if it's 6 times 5 minutes, it's 30 minutes of hard work. Focus on being in control. Gradually build up that volume so you're getting towards 50 minutes. Maybe even for her, 60 minutes, but 50 minutes is a good idea. 10 times 5 minutes, 5 times 10 minutes. key sessions for me when I'm training for an ultra marathon of 100K flat on the road, or whether I'm training for a marathon. And then those 1 minutes are gonna feed, so you're gonna be able to build fast twitch muscle fibers, and that running economy, that speed that you're gonna inject is gonna really, really improve your times, whether you're running 5K, 10K, marathon, ultra marathon. It's gonna make your race pace feel so much more easy. So yeah, good luck. And if you have any questions at all about interval running, you could write a book on it, obviously, and there has been books written on it. But if you have any questions and you don't quite get it, or you need some kind of assistance, is something right, let me know in the comments below and I'll help you. Cheers.